Welcome to the Overcoming podcast where healing and revealing meets. I'm your host, Tamara Merced. On this podcast, I'll engage in candid conversations with my guests from diverse backgrounds who have faced adversity in their lives. We will explore a wide range of obstacles such as mental health struggles, trauma, and look into how our guests overcame adversity to achieve personal success. I will also share my own journey and experience with life challenges and offer insight into how I have overcame my own trauma. The Overcoming podcast is committed to helping you discover and embrace a new vision of yourself. Welcome to the Overcoming podcast where healing and revealing meets. My name is Tamara. I am the host and the founder of this show. Today, we're going to do things a little different. Typically, I'll be interviewing my guests, but today my husband, Keith Merced, will be interviewing me.
So it's my honor and privilege to be interviewing my wife today for the Overcoming podcast. So a little about my wife before we get started, a little bit of her accomplishments. First off, we have three boys. Our oldest is Giovanni, middle son, Aiden, and our youngest, Keith Jr., better known as KJ. My wife has a bachelor's in nursing. She's the owner of a medical billing company by the name of AGT Medical Billing Solutions. She's also the owner of a consulting company by the name of Merced's Consulting. And she's the author of The Art of Marketing Your Own Medical Billing Business. So she's the author as well. My wife got a lot going on. But today we're going to learn a little about how she got started. And how she got started in life, we can't talk about that without going all the way back to Jamaica. So a lot of people know about Jamaica. They know about Bob Marley. They know about Kingston, Ocho Rios, the vacation spots. But my wife is from somewhere other than those places. And she's going to tell you about where she's from. So where are you from, baby?
So I am originally from Manchester, Christiana. Very small place in Jamaica. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise kids compared to Kingston.
Okay, so would you say Manchester's a tight-knit community?
Most definitely. So Manchester is a tight-knit community. This little area is called Christiana Manchester. However, in that little subdivision, I lived in Blockery. And in that area, it's like we all know each other. It's very tight-knit. It's one of those places where your neighbor could spank you and get away with it. Yeah, I would say it's more like that.
So let's talk about your household. Like, who did you grow up with? Who was in that house?
My grandmother raised me, my two brother, and my uncle, and also my cousin.
So we got to talk about the matriarch of the family. We got to talk about the great Grandma Rose. Could you tell us a little bit about Grandma Rose?
Grandmother Rose were everything to me. She was, bless her heart, she passed away on, but she was everything to me and my brothers. She spoiled us. She loved on us. She was a great cook. She was an entrepreneur. She loved to bake. I would say she's a little hustler. She did everything that she could do to survive.
So Grandma Rose had a lot of things going on. I think you tell you she was a seamstress as well.
Yeah, she was a seamstress. That's correct.
Okay, so Grandma Rose was a hustler, great cook, clever, kept a clean household, was a disciplinarian. She ain't let y'all get away with a lot, but she came back with the love.
She definitely came back with a lot of love.
So let's talk about you growing up in this household as being the only girl. That had to be an experience. What was it like growing up around all these boys?
Growing up with with my two brothers, my uncle and my cousin was tough. We fought like cats and dogs, I'm always in their way, being the only girl. However, I was the oldest, but they've always treated me like I was the youngest. We fought like cats and dogs, but we also love each other the same.
So loved on each other, fought, but the love came right after that. But we gotta talk about, did you receive any special treatment, any princess treatment growing up in this household, being the only girl?
I would think so. My grandmother, she spoiled me. Like I said, she was a seamstress. So she took care of all my clothes. She sewed all my clothes. Nice little top that I want, she would sew. Whenever she would get home from work, she would always surprise me with little surprises. And she would tell me not to tell my brothers. And so I felt very special in those moments. I would always get the privilege of always braiding her hair. So I always plait and braid her hair, and play in her hair. And that made me felt good. So definitely I felt like I was totally treated with special care when it came to my grandmother.
So we know life in Jamaica is a lot different from life in the States, especially for a kid. I don't think you was in the house watching TV playing video games. What was y'all doing?
No, hell no. Life in America is totally different, like my husband say, compared to life in Jamaica. So life in America, you play video games, you do all this stuff, you eat, you sit, you do what you do. But life in Jamaica is a little different. We know the whole community. My brothers and I, we know everybody on the block. Honestly, we were always playing on the outside. Some of the games that we really like playing is we played Ludi. And Ludi is a board game. It's 4 men to a table and it's a dice and you have to make it home. And whoever make it home, they're the one that is the winner. And then we would go to the river. And so I've gone to the river with my brothers plenty of time. And so it was me, my brothers, and their friends and my cousin and uncle. And I remember one time they pushed me in the water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so can you imagine being pushed off a cliff that is pretty high?
I can't imagine it.
Yes, and to be honest with you, ever since that day, and I'm now 41 years old, I don't swim. I'm traumatized by that situation.
So be careful what y'all do as kids or something like that. You could trauma a person for the rest of their life. My wife still ain't learned how to swim for that. I owe y'all for that one. So let's talk about your mom was abroad. She was in the States.
Yeah, my mom was in the States, yes.
Okay, but your dad did live in Jamaica. So how far did he live from you and how did you interact with him?
So my dad did not live too far from my school. I had to pass my dad's house to go to school and vice versa coming home. And so my dad and I, we had a very special bond. We had a very special relationship. He've always made me felt like I was a daddy's girl for some time. He've always loved on me. So one of our special bond and our special moment is this. Whenever I would get home from school, I would stop by his place and I would show him my math problems. He would teach me the problems, how to work out the problems. And so my dad was pretty good in that department. He really helped me a lot when it comes to the math problems.
So helped out with a lot of schoolwork. Very smart guy.
Very smart guy.
So let's talk about something that happens in Jamaica that is very big at this time, Christmas. You told me about this thing called Grand Market. Could you tell the people about the world famous Grand Market?
Grand Market is the thing. And I'm going to start it off by saying this. If you are a Jamaican and you don't know anything about Grand Market, then you're not from Jamaica.
You heard it here first. If you don't know about the Grand Market and say
Yes.
Jamaican, don't even mention Jamaica around it.
Don't even mention Jamaica, baby. For Grand Market, it was a lot of fun. Grand Market is basically like a black party here. So in the States, you have black party, everybody come out, they have their food and all that good stuff, and they eat, enjoy, dance, and sing. In Jamaica, it's the same thing. It's just that in Jamaica, though, it's a small little area. And so you got people on top of people and kids and bounce about cotton candies. We would have toys. And, when we dress for Grand Market, oh my God, we're dressing like we're going to a stage show. So everybody's in their new shoes, their new outfit, their hair is cut or combed. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a hottie back in the day. So to be honest, my mom would send clothes from the States or my Aunt Donna would buy us clothes and I would get all dressed up and my hair would be done and I would look good. And that was the thing. And honestly, to put a little cream on the pie, when your mom is in the States and you're like in Jamaica, you're supposed to be the big thing back in the days because you have someone that's in America. And so people would look at me like, oh, I'm getting this, I'm getting that type thing. Christmas in itself was a great thing. It was a lot of kids, but a lot of family as well. And myself and my friends, we had a blast. We enjoyed ourselves. We would party from Christmas Eve all the way to Christmas morning.
So listen, America, we got to step it up. All we doing is sitting in the house, opening gifts, Christmas morning. We need to have a block party. Everybody need to come together and let's do our own American Grand Market. All right, so Grand Market, that's where it's at. Just like my wife said. Listen, she said this and it's in stone. If you don't know about Grand Market, you're not a real Jamaican.
You are not a real Jamaican, okay? So I'm letting you guys know that right now.
So we got to talk about another big thing that goes on in Jamaica, the official sport of Jamaica. We got to talk about track and field.
Yeah, track and field, man. Track and field is huge. You hear about Houston Bolt, track and field is big. So for me, I run track and field when I was in school in Jamaica. My brothers too, and I was faster than them. I hope they don't get to
Whoa.
watch. I'm just
I heard
saying.
it.
I'm just saying, but track and field was big. I run track and field. I run 100 meter, 400 meter. I also run long distance, and I didn't like long distance so much, but I did love the 100 meter and 400 meter. I think I did a great job. It's a thing. And in Jamaica, track and field, yes, but we have this thing called sports day. And sports days when everybody get together, like the schools get together and they compete against each other. And whichever school win, we hyping it up. We hyping it up. So it was really fun. I will also say this. Track and field is really good for kids with low self-esteem because I want to say that growing up, I did have somewhat of a low self-esteem and it helped me to evolve a little bit because when I played track and field and I did win, people were screaming my name from different benches that I've never met, and that made me felt good in a whole. So definitely, if you have a child that struggle, I would say track and field or just any sports in any type.
Yeah, so I would agree with that. If you any of your children struggling with self-esteem issues, get them on a sports team. What's the name? They could be around other kids. They can boost their confidence. So that's definitely something I would suggest that my wife suggested. So that's definitely something you should do. So let's talk about another big thing in the Jamaican household is education. You gotta be educated, and they really push that in the Jamaican household.
In Jamaica, college education is a big deal. So most of our parents, even when they can't read and write, they're pushing us to go to college. You need to go to college. You need to get your education. You need to be a doctor. You need to be a lawyer. You need to be a nurse. That is all you're hearing in the Jamaican household. To be fair, I would say maybe that's why I went to school to be a nurse. Not something that I wanted or I would have chose for myself. But hearing that thing that knocks off in your head that you need to go to school to be something and that thing needs to be a lawyer, doctor, nurse, I think that could be one of the reasons why I went to school for nursing because ultimately I think my heart was always in the entrepreneur world.
Well, today we learned a lot about your life in Jamaica, what made you who you are, and a lot about what goes on in Jamaica and what life is really like. But is there anything else you would like to say about Jamaica?
One of the things that I would love to say about Jamaica, I moved from Jamaica since I was a little girl. That I will always say that I've always feel like I would want to give back in some way. And so my goal for this podcast is to work this podcast and I'm hoping that whatever proceedings that I get from this podcast, I am hoping to help people in the islands, not just in Jamaica, but in all the islands in Africa and Nigeria and things like that. I would love to help the young girls that are struggling and maybe they don't know the how of to create a life for themselves, not only in Jamaica, but in different islands. I would love to tour the islands. I would love to do things for the community. And that is my goal. That is my passion behind the Overcoming podcast.
So I would like to thank my wife today for giving me the honor of interviewing her for the Overcoming podcast. Like and subscribe, and until next time, join us again.
Thank you very much.